Good morning. This is Ron, and it is Wednesday, July or June the 6th, and welcome to Story Time. And thank you very much. And this is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States of America. And I was thinking today about the left and its use of power culturally, how it works on a street level, not how it works politically, because that's what's most important to you and I is what's happening to us on a daily basis. The people that we run into at the grocery store, our relatives, friends, and coworkers. So, with the use of force or power and their obsession with the use of power, have situations like where I was. They're good. Left is very good at discovering vulnerabilities or weaknesses, and since they're all involved in power and think that the world is nothing but a series of struggles, they become used to that. They go out and look for situations in which they have an edge and try to exploit it. An example of that is when I was a parking lot attendant and I was in a uniform, and a lady walked up to me and said, "You must be an artist." And I knew immediately that this was a person of the left, and I knew that this was a power play. This was had really nothing to do with her personal observation as to whether or not I'm an artist. There's no possible way she could know whether I'm an artist or not just by taking a look at me, and she didn't. It was just again is a power play, and the reason I know that is because I felt uncomfortable. Okay, and I felt like I was in a position where I was vulnerable, that there was very little that I could do to defend myself, to argue with her. I felt that would be kind of dangerous. And the reason, because again, I'm in uniform. And so the lady walks up, she knows who I am, she knows who I work for, and she can, if need be, call the company, create problems for me, up to and including having me terminated from my job or my employment. And she not only knows this, but she knows I know this, and that's what's important. So she knows and can feel safe in walking up to me and saying whatever she wants. And that's the point of making that observation, is to tell me I'm in power, I'm in charge, I'm in control. I can say anything to you I want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, and another way I know that is because she didn't bother to introduce herself. There was an imbalance in terms of she knows me, but I don't know her. I don't know who she is or where she works or anything else. So she remains anonymous and is able to hide, in effect, and I remain conspicuous and a potential target. And she wanted me to know that. Another example of that is when you get into sexual harassment cases. My theory is that you're going to find that most of the sexual harassers are going to be people of the left. Not you might think they might would be conservatives, but with the idea of traditional male and female roles. But I say it's usually people of the left because it's really an issue of power, and that's what is psychologists and psychiatrists say. It's less an issue of sex, more an issue of power. An example of this is I went to Denny's restaurant in Pasadena, here in Pasadena, California, some years ago, and there was a waitress in there, and she would be very smiley and everything, and she'd usually sit me at her station, and then every time she would walk past me, she had to put her hands on me. She would run her hands across my back. She put her hand on my arm. She would touch me, touch me, touch me, touch me, back and forth and back and forth, and I didn't like it. But immediately I felt uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable. You would think it would be easy just to say, hey, knock it off. But you can't because you're in a public place and you don't want to create a scene. And that's the whole point to this. It wasn't that she was touching me because she found me so irresistible or so attractive, or that she wanted me to ask her out on a date, or that she wanted to take me in the back room and make passionate love to me or something. No, it was a power move. It was a way of telling me I run this joint. I've been here for 20 or 30 years. I can do whatever the hell I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. I own the place, and I own everybody in it, including you. And so I eventually, what I did is the next time I came in, I asked somebody, because I was being set at a particular station, I said, whose station is this? And they pointed to that same waitress. I said, I'm not going to sit at this station. I want to sit somewhere else. She was pissed. And she made no attempt to disguise her disgust with me. She gave me dirty looks for the rest of the time that I happened to be in there. So she's gone now. I don't know what happened to her, and really I don't care. But I'm just glad that she's gone. But it points up again, and she's a woman, and I'm sure that she's not somebody that was going to be voting for Ronald Reagan or Newt Gingrich or anybody like that. I'm sure that she would have been, if she was a voting individual, political, that she's going to be of the left. There's no doubt in my mind. Another example is when I was working for the CIT group, and I was temping for them, and I would answer the phone. It was a kind of receptionist position. It wasn't kind of. It was definitely a receptionist position. I answered the phone, and there was a vice president up in San Francisco who used to call down to get, I guess, facts and figures on what the local Pasadena office was doing. And of course, I'm answering the phone. CIT group, this is Ron. Can I help you or whatever? Well, he loved the sound of my voice. And so he made a point of it to come down to Pasadena and spend some time in the local office, where he sexually harassed me. He groped my bottom, winked at me about it, that kind of thing. And I simply left. I went. It was a good assignment. Everybody liked me there. Everybody wanted me to stay. I probably could have ended up getting hired on as a regular employee. I left. I said, no way. I'm out of here. I'm not going to play this stupid game, and I immediately knew where this was coming from. It had nothing to do with sex. It had nothing to do with the fact that he wanted to find me attractive and wants me to ask me out. If that was the case, he would have done so. The whole point of doing this is to say, I'm in charge here. I'm a vice president. You're nothing but a temp. I can do to you what I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, he was wrong. I can do something about it. I can quit. And that's exactly what I did. So, again, that's the left and their use of power, and that's where the use of power is really important. Who cares what they're doing in Congress? Who cares whether the Democrats are blocking Trump's nominees or whatever the hell they're doing? Who cares? What do I give a damn about that? I care about the people I have to deal with each and every day, again, on the soccer field, in the grocery stores, my relatives, friends, and coworkers. That's what's important to me and what should be important to you as well. So when I come back, I'm going to be reading from a book written by Tammy Bruce. Okay, thank you very much. And I'm back, and I'm reading from a book, a little excerpt from a book from Tammy Bruce. And Tammy Bruce is a talk show host, former lefty. That's what I like about Tammy Bruce, is she has real insights as to what it means to what the left is really all about. She really knows. Rush Limbaugh pretends to know. He's claims that he knows these people like every square inch of his glorious naked body. BS. He knows radio. He knows Snapple, and he probably knows sports, but he sure as hell does not know the left. But Tammy Bruce is one of those people that does know the left. So let me see here. Let's go back a few things. Introduction. Here we go. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Come on. So I'm doing this off of a phone. Okay, it's called The Death of Right and Wrong, exposing. Yeah, I can't read the rest of it. Let's just Oh, there it is. Well, anyways, the death of right and wrong. Let's just call it that way. Let me see. She had, and she's what she's doing is talking about her first lesbian relationship with a woman named Brenda Bennett, featured actress on the NBC daytime soap opera Days of Our Lives, and the ex-wife of TV star and producer Bill Bixby. Brenda and I had become lovers when I was just 17. This is Tammy speaking. It was a clandestine, closeted relationship to be shared, as she instructed me, with no one. Brenda wanted what she wanted, but she also needed to hide the relationship in order to maintain the image she had created for her friends and, most importantly, her colleagues and fans. I realize now that this was the message conveyed to my teenage mind. You must not let personal responsibility, let alone morality, get in the way of what you want. Okay, so now let's fast forward here a page later. Um, so here's the way that Tammy describes Brenda as a person. Brenda was, to say the least, self destructive. She was also an extraordinarily beautiful woman, charming, smart, and charismatic. So I picked this out because, again, it shows the issue of judgment. It highlights the issue of judgment and how the left is always saying, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge. But the reality is they want judgment, but they don't want judgment in terms of character. They don't want people judged by who they really are. They want people judged by their sociability, by their personality. And what you get here on this one particular page is when she's making the description of her, it's all about personality. That she's extraordinarily beautiful, she was charming, smart, and charismatic. All those are personality traits. When you get to the character parts of it, where it says that she wanted what she wanted. You must not let personal responsibility, let alone morality, get in the way of what you want. But those character defects, Tammy Bruce takes on. Because it says here, I realize now that this was the message conveyed to my teenage mind. She's accepting responsibility for her partner's, her lover's character defects instead of judging her for them as she should be doing. So she's still got some left wing remnants in here, because what she should have said is, now I realize now that Brenda was a person who did not let personal responsibility, let alone morality, get in the way of what she wanted. And that was wrong. And she should not have acted that way. That's what Tammy Bruce should have said there, but doesn't say, because she still has culturally the influence of the left going on. So those are things to be looking out for when you're dealing with people. The books you read, uh, television shows you're watching, and radio shows you listen to, and the people you're dealing with on a day-to-day regular basis is looking for those things, those character defect issues, character slash personality. Another example of that was when he was a late night talk show host, David Letterman. When David Letterman retired, and there was a little blurb about him in it might have been on Facebook or somewhere on the internet about to try to sum up his career, I guess. And nowhere in there did they sum up who he was as a person. They basically said that in this article that he was post ironic. And so it's descriptive rather than being critical, rather than saying, okay, was the thing that I missed out of this was, who was David Letterman as a person? What was his character like? Was he a good or bad person at the end of the day? At the end of this career, was he a good or bad person, first and foremost? And from what I could tell, he sucked as a human being. Okay, if what I'm reading was correct, he had a mattress in his office, and he used to bang his staff on a regular basis. He almost got somebody tried to blackmail him over it, and he came out on television and basically spilled the beans and said, "Yeah, I banged my staff, and that way got rid of the blackmail, the threat of blackmail by coming out and being honest about it, or I should say candid, because somehow honesty doesn't seem to do justice to what he said. But anyhow, he was a crappy human being. We also come to find out that he was abusive. As his show went on and on and on, he was more and more nasty and abusive to people that he worked with. Again, another left-wing trait where he wasn't nasty or abusive with anybody in power, anybody, I suppose, producers, executive producers, etc. He was only nasty to those people that were subordinate to him, those people that depended on him and his show for their livelihood and all of their pay and benefits. And that's a particularly crappy thing to do. It's a crappy characteristic for somebody to be to treat people that way, to treat your subordinates, with a "you don't like it, get the f out of here" kind of an attitude. I'll do again. This whole thing's power. I'll do to you whatever the hell I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's particularly crappy. But nobody in the article I was reading made mention of it. Nobody said anything about what a crappy human being David Letterman was and is, because he is to this day never admitted his personal failings and faults, much less made amends for the damage that he has done to other people. So when I come back, going to be a few jokes from the New York Cab Driver's Joke Book. Okay, thank you very much. And we're back. I'm reading from the New York City Cab Driver's Joke Book by Jim Peach, who is a New York City cab driver, oddly enough. A man and a woman are standing at a cocktail party when the woman says to the man, "You look just like my third husband." "Oh, really?" says the man. "How many times have you been married?" The woman answers, "Twice." One night in Washington, when Nixon was president, there was a heavy snowfall. When the president woke up in the morning, he looked out the window and saw a beautiful blanket of snow covering the White House lawn. He was snapped out of his peaceful reverie when he noticed, written on the lawn in yellow snow, "Dick Nixon is an asshole." The president got very angry and summoned the FBI and the CIA. "I want that urine analyzed," he ordered them, "and I want to find out who the culprit is right now, without delay. This is top priority." Early in the afternoon, a representative of the two agencies reported back in to Nixon. "Sir," he said, "we have tested the urine and we know whose it is. However, there's some good news and some bad news. Which would you like first?" "Oh, no," said Nixon. "I guess you had better give me the good news first." "Well, sir," said the man, "we analyzed the urine and it's Henry Kissinger's." "Oh, no," cried Nixon. And then suddenly the realization hit him. That's the good news. What could the bad news possibly be? The man answered him. It was in Pat's handwriting. And with that, we reach the conclusion of another episode of Story Time. And I thank you all for joining me. And until next time, have a great day.